Hey everyone, welcome to 2 Pages of Halloween. This is sort of a weird idea that I came up with based off a different series that I started earlier this year called 2 Pages of Stupidity. I thought it would be more fun to bring some more people in and maybe get some stories that aren't so stupid, so that's kind of what we got here. Also, last year we had a podcast called The Classiest Fucking Podcast Ever. And it was just kind of a chance for us to get together and shoot the shit. So that's also what this doubles as. I'm your host, Skeletroy Blockbuster, and I've got a cavalcade of characters here tonight. I'll just read you guys off in the order I see you here. First off, we have Chris. How's it going, Chris?
Hello.
Next up is Graham.
Hiyo.
And then we have Grant.
Yo.
And last but not least, Tom.
Hey.
So, yeah, this is gonna be an interesting little experiment. We're a couple days late for Halloween, but fuck it, you can celebrate Halloween whenever.
Creepy never has to end. Ever.
Well, as I said in the chat, it's a Halloween hangover.
Yes.
Pretty much. Halloween has always been a weekend holiday for me anyway. It just ends whenever I damn feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
So, did any of you guys do anything interesting for Halloween?
I went to school.
Well, that's interesting. Did you dress up?
No.
Yeah.
It's never really been the
Gonna
thing.
say, I think we're all in the same boat. What's interesting on Halloween? Oh, right, because I was working. Yeah. That seems to
I could
happen a
go
lot.
Shadow Man, but I'd like to be able to see where I'm going, so
You can wear costumes that don't cover your eyes.
Shadow Man's costume is a mask that covers my face. I can't really see out of it.
Hey, Rorschach got away with it. I'm just saying.
Okay, look. Anywho.
Alright, so, how about we get down to the first story here? The first one's gonna be by Graham. And, I don't really have much, to go off of because I didn't really ask what anybody's stories were about because I wanted to be as surprised as the rest of the viewers are. So, without further ado, if you want to say a little anything about your story before you begin, go ahead. If not, the floor is yours.
Did Graham die? I think Graham died.
I don't know what's going on. I just see a picture of him going like this.
Yeah. I know. I think he died. We knew him well.
We talked about this. Don't die until the show's over.
Yeah. I'll say some people just don't seem to understand how to follow instructions.
I think maybe my podcasting luck is creeping past the isometric perspective.
I was gonna say it seems like we're carrying over pretty hard here. Maybe it isn't just you though. Maybe it's also me. I mean, like I said, we got 2/3 the isometric perspective in here.
Nah, I was having problems when Graham and I were trying to do the first Borderlands episode.
That's
Well,
right.
To be fair,
It's
time I'm on the podcast,
every
I
episode. Alright, well, we're gonna try and figure out what's going on with Graham, and in the meantime, Chris,
Yo,
you were scheduled up next, so,
there was? Oh. Okay.
You
Yeah,
were.
that's happening.
Yeah, so we're gonna throw the floor to you, and I'm gonna try and figure out what's going on with Graham.
Yeah. It's a funny. Oh, what? He's gone.
Okay, maybe he knows what's going on.
Maybe he does. But we can only hope anyway.
We want me to wait until it shows up?
If we can fill some time for like 2 minutes, sure.
Well, what other things have you guys been doing for Halloween? I'm sure like parties and whatnot. Like, is there anything else that you've been doing, or do you have any sort of like
Do nothing.
nothing? Like you don't have any traditions or anything like that?
No.
The closest I would have got to a Halloween-related thing would have just been playing The Last of Us.
Okay.
My only real
Does
Halloween
that
tradition now
count?
that I'm in my 30s is to go buy Halloween candy after Halloween.
Yeah, that's always a good one. So over at work, we have this thing called Malloween because I work in a mall. Hooray! And yeah, I know it hurt me too. But one of the things that they do is supply the stores candy. Well, our candy didn't. It's 3 big bags, about like this big bags. It's all full with all different kind of stuff, and all of our candy arrived after it was over. So now we got 3 bags just sitting inside of the store. But where I'm going with this comes into what we ended up doing with it, which is of course sharing it amongst all of us. So now the 3 of us each have like 1 big bag of candy.
You get candy?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So I'm not arguing. That was nice of them in a way, even though it was meant for something completely different. But if I have any like, I seem to have some type of tradition for every kind of holiday. For Christmas, for instance, the folks and I will sit and watch White Christmas for whatever reason. Or Halloween, I tend to actually watch Rocky Horror.
God, I haven't watched that in ages.
It's one of my favorites. It's just ridiculous humor. Like it's ridiculous placed all over the place. But that's one thing I will say. Otherwise, though, it's been filled with creepy video games and other stuff like that, which that's not atypical for me to begin with. I mean, being a fan of Dead Space and everything that way. But Destiny's been having its own accord of creep. You've got Alien, you've got Evil Within, and a bunch of other stuff that's been out. So, hurrah!
Or you can just stick to the classics like good old Castlevania.
Yeah. I was gonna say Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Castlevania. There's still plenty of stuff that you can dig into for like the old stuff. That's for sure. But I have liked some of the new stuff. I've been surprised with that. This year in general has been like just good for media, not necessarily like covering the idea of games, because I have a feeling we'll do that in, that other thing that we do, like isometric perspective.
On the isometric perspective. Halloween edition.
The Halloween edition. It could have happened at another point. Anyway, yeah, that's one of the things that I can say too. Like, just in general, it's been a ridiculously good year for like horror and creepy entertainment. Like, really good year. But
You better not be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's.
well, that might be one of them, but I'm not going to bring that up. Like, that's a good game all the same. I think it's getting way too much hype for it, being what it is, but that's for another day. It really is for another day.
Well, I think that 2 minutes is up.
Yep.
I think so.
Okay.
Have fun, Chris.
And just You just love messing with me.
Don't blame us, blame Graham.
Graham, yep, exactly. Or his shitty
He's
internet.
the perfect scapegoat because he's not here.
Okay, what are we gonna say here? So, mine's about a witch hunter, Internet. Oh yeah, hi Internet, how are you? This will be called Solitude, and I don't really feel like getting into the whole reason for this existing because it wasn't actually made for this. So, it's also much longer than 2 pages, but I'm only going to read 2 pages of it because, well, yeah.
You're not gonna cut out the ending, are you?
No.
Okay, good.
We get the cliff notes. Is that
I
what
need
this
to know
is?
what happens. I mean, come
Really?
on.
That would be unfair and
I can-
unkind, and I would not be able to sleep at night if I did
Well,
not know.
Oh my gosh, it started out and it was 2 pages, and then I made more, and no! Anyway. Okay, wait, that is not the right page. Hold up. Whoa there. There we go. So. Here's a thought. Does everyone want to read dialogue and I can just read the tedious crap? Okay. Let's see. I'm a horrible reader. Okay. Riley crashes through the door, splinters of wood slicing into her face and into her side. As she picks herself up, a hot surge grips at her from her abdomen. Blood rushes from her midsection, where she removes a large shard of glass. The hag creeps toward the door. Riley forces herself up, rushing to the stairs. You're going to die, the hag screams. But I'm too young and pretty, Riley grunts. I should at least wait until I look like you. As Riley struggles down the hall and reaches the stairs, the old witch strikes her in the back. The girl plummets down the staircase, crumpled into a heap at the bottom. Blood drips from a gash on her forehead, and a cold, stabbing feeling rushes up her leg. She collapses the instant she begins to get up. Nell dashes to Riley's aid, dragging her to a secluded corner in the next room. Didn't I tell you to go outside, or are you content being a sacrifice? Shut up. The creaking floorboards begin to ring down the stairs. Dropped my gun, Riley says. Aren't you supposed to be the one protecting me, Nell says. She dashes back to the staircase and grabs the gun. The instant she looks up, she's staring at the hag in the eye. A cold chill runs up her spine as the hag smiles, a smile full of jagged teeth. Hello, dear, the hag says. As the hag reaches for Nell, the girl bashes her across the face with the gun and tries to shoot her, but the gun never fires. The hag reels from the blow, and Nell rushes back to the room where Riley sits. I think it's empty, she says, as she slips off her boots and leaves them behind the curtains. Did you cock the gun? Riley says. Did I cock the... Riley holds up her hand and mimes the motion of preparing a firearm. Nell looks the gun over and cocks it. I've never used one of these before. I never would have guessed. The doorknob begins to shift, and Nell hides in the closet as Riley kneels and hides behind the door. The hag notes the shoes by the window and approaches them. Riley, her body shaking, struggles to hold the gun and stay on page turning now. Wait, hold on. Page, okay. Riley, her body shaking, struggles to hold up the gun and steady her aim. Her legs begin to buckle, then she can't move at all. The witch turns around and, with another fierce gale, pins the girl to the wall beside the window. Blood has a very distinct smell, Hunter. Nell watches through the cracked door of the closet. She retreats back in and looks around, finding something in the corner. A moment later, she emerges from the closet with a shotgun in hand. Let her go. Then she unloads, and the witch is blown away halfway through the window, crashing through, leaving shards of glass protruding from her midsection. Nell helps Riley up as it collapses back to the floor, freed of the hag's power. I cocked this one. Better? Yes, better. Pumped, by the way. Now, let's get out of here. I'm tired of saving you. I think he's back. Yeah, no. He's, no. Hey.
Thinking about it.
Hey, there he goes.
There we go.
Yeah, I didn't want to
Sorry
say
I dropped out on
anything
you.
to interrupt your story.
Sorry I dropped out. My router's a dick.
Ah, yours.
I want to get a new one then.
So did I miss anything?
No.
Chris read his story.
No, I didn't.
Hey,
No, I didn't.
You didn't, so does that mean you still have to read a story?
I don't know what you're talking about, Troy.
I see what he's doing here, Troy.
And today on CFPE. Okay, Graham.
So, like,
go.
did Graham come in at, like, basically the perfect time? Because I didn't hear the end, but was that the end?
Yeah, snarky remarks and ending. I mean, there's more, but as we talked about, not 2 pages, so.
Right.
Better than nothing.
We got
Right
the cliff
on.
notes.
We got everything that was necessary.
I have a question in that regard. What so you had said that is actually or written for different purposes. What were the reasons that you had wrote that?
A long fiction assignment for a class.
Okay.
It was like 5,000 words, and I wrote like 5,600. And after that, my teacher liked it so much that he was like, okay, this is awesome. Now try and write that whole thing with 4,000 words. And I was like,
Right.
what?
Well, that's cutting out like a whole
Abridged
chapter.
version.
Yeah. So I was like, I got it down to 4,300. It just wasn't getting to 4,000.
Just hyphenate a couple hundred words and you'll be
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's pretty well. You asked me. That's pretty awesome. So that's a good way to tie in your story. The only other thing I thought in that regard is, are there any plans to kind of keep working with that particular story?
Indeed. The whole thing as it is, or as it was like 20 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And it's based on something I thought of when I was like 12.
Right. So it's definitely something near and dear
all
to
of
your
my
heart.
ideas linger around. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Very cool.
And up next, the party animal.
YOLO!
No. No. Great.
Hey, you're the one who called me the party animal.
No.
None of that.
You brought
None of
it on
that.
yourself, Chris. But not really. Okay, so my story is based on a true experience. It happened last year. I guess it's kind of your typical Halloween party story, or just party story, whatever. And it goes a little something like this. Well, I kind of have it written down here on the Word document, but I'm going to improv and add some things in as I go along. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Okay, so last year my friends Gareth and Alex threw a Halloween party at their new house, and I remember it being fun and all, but for the longest time they wouldn't shut up about how much of an unmitigated disaster it was. Well, it was kind of a blur for reasons that'll be obvious later. Redundancy, much redundant. According to their reports, it seemed like some kind of horror show that they wish they could just erase from their memories. Like, it was like looking at the pages of a Where's Waldo book. Like, each time you look at it, you find something new, and every once in a while you'll rediscover something that you wish you'd never really found. So I arrived there in what is possibly the laziest Halloween costume imaginable. I was dressed as a hipster. So, yeah, so basically...
Oh, when you said the laziest costume possible, my mind went to that episode of The Simpsons where Homer made the Florida suit for Lisa.
Oh no.
But no, basically, my costume was with glasses and I actually borrowed some stuff from my sister. I borrowed a knitted hat, I borrowed a scarf, and I even borrowed a pair of her jeans. So yeah, and before that, I did something else. Like, you guys know how every Halloween Chipotle has this thing where if you show up in costume or dress like a burrito, you get a free burrito.
Wait, what?
What?
Didn't know they did that. Okay, that's interesting.
That's me?
Well, they did in my area.
Gotcha.
I've never heard of that.
That's pretty cool all the same.
Troy, Tom, do you guys have Chipotle in Canada or Australia?
No, I'm aware of it.
No, I don't think so.
No, we don't have it here.
Oh, okay.
Mm,
Well,
don't
it's,
have it here either.
yeah, it's basically a Mexican restaurant that gives you burritos that are like as big as your head, and they're really, really popular. Like, every time I pass one, there's like a really long line that like wraps around the building. I
Subway, but for Mexican food.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, every Halloween they have this thing where if you show up in line for costume, you'll get a burrito for like $3, and if you show up dressed up as a burrito, i.e. wrapping yourself in tinfoil, they give you one for free. And I thought it would just be like a good excuse to get some cheap food. So basically, at the last second, I just like took some tinfoil, wrapped it around me, and when I went there was a line that was literally around the building. Like, it was like spilling out the doors. It was down the block. And there's a whole bunch of people in costumes. Some of them were in tinfoil, and I was in there for an hour, and it was raining, and it was horrible, but it was worth it because free burrito.
All for the burrito.
See,
Well, I
Where's
suppose
my
the tinfoil would have helped keep the rain off, so...
Yeah. So basically,
yeah.
well, it wasn't raining that hard, so I kind of lucked out. So basically, I went over there. Well, I went there at like 4 o'clock, so I was able to like get like around dinner time, and then I went over to their house, and I like got all the tinfoil stuff out of me, and I was still dressed in my hipster costume, and I was like among the first people there. I was there at like 7 o'clock, like before the fun stuff usually happens, and the party was the idea of one of their friends, Melanie, who's a lot less, and she started inviting some of her friends, and some of them are under 21, so there was alcohol. Yeah, and there was alcohol, and my friend Alex thought it was a great idea to like try making Jello shots for the first time, and by the way, they got you drunk, but they were kind of shitty. But so basically, they got drunk and they had to like go into damage control, and they were just like shoving people out of the house in droves, and it could have been worse. But that didn't stop the rest of us from getting completely shit-faced. And the thing you gotta know about me is I'm not that much of a drinker. I only drink at like social occasions, like parties, concerts, and stuff like that. And usually I just like only have beer. But this time I just like had way too much. I had like 4 Jello shots. I had like 2 bottles of beer. I had like 3 cups of Spike Punch. It was just word of advice: if you're gonna get drunk with me, don't bring your girlfriend or your sister or any of your female friends, because I will flirt with them. Like, like seriously, I hit on like every single girl at that party, and they never stopped bringing it up. Like, I think Alex said that she knew the party officially came to an end when I was like dancing with one of the girls in the living room, and I was like doing the coochie dance with my scarf.
Oh dear.
And
Grandside.
yeah, and the party officially came to an end when my friend Marco, who was supposed to be my ride home, drank an entire bottle of sake and threw up in the living room floor.
Now, I have to ask, was it a carpeted floor?
Oh.
No, thank God. It was horrible.
God. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That'll
but
do
I
it.
was able to get a ride home from someone else, and that's how I got my first hangover. End of story.
So, speaking of Halloween hangover,
Yeah, that title's pretty appropriate.
yeah, just for that, man. And look at that. Tom gave you the title for your program. So good job. We're all working as a team. Way to go, guys. Good hustle.
The
right.
title is yours, man.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Please no.
Next.
Yep, next
Yeah,
up is Tom. He's gonna drink some water first. 'Cause hydration's
okay.
important.
Especially here where it's like starting to get into summer. Anyway, yeah, basically, as I said before, we started. Mine is basically a slasher satire, kind of. I think I basically just gave it the title I did as a kind of joke or something, but yeah, like Truth or Consequences or Old Trouble in New Mexico.
See, if I taught us anything, it's that we don't care about the preamble.
Anyway, okay. Several years ago, on Halloween night, Ricky Wellsworth and his group of friends, Jack, Melanie, Cody, Brittany, and Simon, returned to their hometown to visit the grave of their friend Danny Edwards, whom had died during a serial killer's rampage back when they were in high school at Hot Springs High. Danny wasn't killed by the actual killer, though. He was shot dead by the school principal for running in the halls to escape the killer. The principal had also shot and wounded the killer, Mason Mueller, with both Mason and the principal getting arrested and sent to prison. Ricky and his friends all met up at the graveyard, dressed up as various pop culture-related characters. All were fairly traditional Halloween outfits, except Ricky's extremely goth friend Jack Darcy, who had shown up dressed as the character Sailor Mars from the anime Sailor Moon. The friends all walked up to where they remembered Danny's grave was, with Ricky breaking down and crying until he realized they were at the wrong grave. The friends searched the graveyard for a few minutes, looking for Danny's grave, before giving up in disgust and leaving to get something to eat. They try again later, or tomorrow, generally. Or tomorrow. Generally before they left. Generally before they all went home the next night. As they were leaving the graveyard, they couldn't decide where to go to eat, so the group broke up and to go and eat at different places. Ricky, Jack, Melanie, and Simon left to find the nearest fast food place, whereas Cody and Brittany went to find the local diner. Ricky and company ended up finding a place first and settled in to eat, when a breaking news bulletin came up on the TV the place had. Hello everyone, Justin Woods here for Channel 87.6 News, and we have some breaking news relating to the convicted serial killer Mason Mueller. According to our sources, he has escaped from prison and has been sighted heading back to Truth or Consequences. Citizens are advised to return to their homes and lock their doors. In this man's opinion, Mason Mueller is one sick fuck, so seriously, don't take your chances. Go home as soon as possible. The latter half of the news bulletin wasn't heard probably by the group, as the entire restaurant had emptied. They were all deeply affected and agreed to go find Cody and Brittany before returning to the hotel they were staying at. Well, after they'd finished eating anyway. No sense in letting perfectly good food go to waste like that, especially when they'd already paid for it. Meanwhile, Cody and Brittany had finally arrived at the local diner, only to find it empty, but surprisingly unlocked, and with all the lights in the main area still appearing to be on. Not entirely sure about what to do, Cody decided to cook them something in the kitchen, figuring it was okay as long as they left some money when they were done. For some reason, the lights in the kitchen were off. Cody tried turning the lights switch he found, but nothing happened. After fumbling around the kitchen for a minute, Cody tripped on something and bumped into another switch on the back wall, which turned out to actually be the right light switch. Cody wondered why the hell anyone would set up their lights like that, before shrugging it off and looking around for what he could cook, totally ignorant of the fact that what he tripped over was a human corpse. Having cooked the food, surprisingly without incident, Cody and Brittany ate their meal, then went to leave, making sure to put some money under the counter, with a note explaining everything. As Cody was about to open the door, he noticed a blood-soaked butcher's knife in someone's hand through the blinds on the glass door. He then turned around and finally noticed the body in the kitchen. Deciding to risk the front door, and thereby not having to deal with the smell of the corpse in the kitchen, he and Brittany kicked the door outwards, knocking Mason Mueller, because of course that's who it was. Who else would it be? The principal? He's still in prison, you idiots. Down the few steps, seemingly knocking him out. Not being idiots, they checked to make sure he was actually knocked out before walking away. Huh, said Cody. That was easy. Guess we can try and find the others now. But Cody was abruptly cut off by the fact that he now had a butcher's knife protruding from his throat, which isn't very handy when you're trying to have a conversation. Turns out Mason had only been slightly dazed and had come up silently behind them somehow. Instead of being an idiot and simply screaming her head off, Brittany quickly retaliated and kicked Mason square in the balls. Thanking God she decided to wear an outfit that required running shoes as she ran off to find the others. About an hour later, Brittany finally managed to find the others and told them what happened to Cody. After talking it over for a few minutes, the group decided they would get revenge for their fallen friend. Well, friends really, but I think in the heat of the moment they forgot poor old Danny. They decided to split up, almost into groups of two, until they realized Simon was left out, and as he was the only black guy, that would seem pretty racist. Therefore, Simon paired up with Jack and Melanie, whilst Ricky paired up with Brittany. Immediately after deciding this, a convenient citywide blackout occurred. Luckily, or conveniently, your choice, the group had all brought flashlights anyway, as the cemetery didn't have much in the way of lighting. Finally split up again, the two groups searched different parts of the city. Ricky and Brittany went to check around where Brittany had previously been, whereas Jack, Simon, and Melanie made their way over to the old high school. For some dumb reason, they were walking, by the way. I mean, come on, guys. Yeah, there's a blackout, but it doesn't affect cars. Christ, idiots, these people. Anyway, Ricky and Brittany got to the diner first and looked around for clues. All they managed to find at first was a patch of vomit, which Brittany guessed must belong to Mason, figuring the blow to his nads must have, quote, really, really hurt, making him vomit as he tried to leave the area. Looking around some more, they noticed a trail of blood that started near the bottom of the stairs to the diner. Following the trail, they realized it went near the vomit, then went off in the direction of their old high school. Well, shit, said Ricky before the two ran off to find the others. Meanwhile, Simon, Jack, and Melanie had made it to Hot Springs High fairly quickly, mainly because they'd realized walking was a dumb idea and had gone back for the car Jack, Ricky, and Melanie had driven to the fast food place. The front doors to the school were unlocked, which they assumed was simply due to the janitor having Alzheimer's and forgetting to lock it again, which frequently seemed to happen when they were in school. It's one of the poor old bastard never got fired. After looking around for a while, the group was suddenly ambushed by Mason and knocked out. When they woke up, they found themselves bound, but oddly not gagged, in the basement of the school. And no, they weren't in a boiler room in case you were wondering. After crying out for help until Mason killed them, the three pondered just how Mason had managed to drag them all down into the basement at his age. Mason simply shrugged and pointed at a sort of flatbed trolley thing. He then pointed to a service elevator when they asked how he managed to get that down to the basement. Having had enough of their logistics questions, Mason pulled out a knife, ready to start the slow torturing process he had planned before he finally killed the three. Suddenly, Ricky and Brittany came running down the stairs, panting heavily heavily when they reached the bottom. "Don't worry, guys, we're here to save you," Ricky managed to shout, before Brittany and he attempted to rush Mason. Mason, however, managed to fend them both off and knock them both down, slitting Brittany's throat and shooting Ricky right between the eyes. And I mean that literally, not like in line with his nose, but actually through his forehead. No, he shot him right through the nose, in line with his eyes. Mason managed this, by the way, because Ricky and Brittany were both exhausted from having run most of the way from the diner to the school. So none of this would have happened if they'd taken a fucking car! I'm sorry, but come on. The other three were shocked and disappointed at the death of their friends. Disappointed in the sense that they were their last hope, and now they knew they were probably going to die. Not willing to give up, however, they managed to free their legs and stand up, while having a go at Mason. Unfortunately, as their hands were still bound, it didn't amount to much more than Mason dodging their meager attempts at attacking him and knocking them all down. Finally, they all collapsed back where they started and huddled together in fear. Mason laughed and pulled out a cigarette, the first one he'd have had since escaping from prison. After taking his first smoke, he started coughing uncontrollably. After about half a minute, he actually started coughing up blood before finally taking one final breath and falling dead on the floor. Not wasting time to think about what just happened, the three survivors unbound their hands and ran to the nearest police station. The three never returned to their hometown after the funerals of their friends they lost, but all remained very close friends and are still in touch to this day. The moral of this story here is that cigarettes are extremely hazardous to your health and do nothing but manage to slowly eat away at you until you finally succumb to their poison and die. The end.
One thing I gotta add, I was gonna tell you this earlier, but I didn't want to be rude. About halfway through, you were kind of breaking up, so I kind of missed half the story. But it was fine because half the time you sounded like the hump bot from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
I'll probably be posting this on like.
So it was a win-win.
Anyway.
I don't know. It came through fine on my end. Maybe your router's being a dick again.
Exactly.
No, it's not the router.
Then it's your internet, and you need to tell your provider to stop being a piece of crap.
You can have mine. I don't want my provider.
I don't think many of us want our providers. That's the problem.
Yeah, a bit of trivia on the thing that I wrote. That whole joke at the end where it turns into an anti-smoking PSA was something that I'd done on a game called The Movies, where they essentially had a sort of Jason Voorhees style outfit on that. And I just, for the hell of it, did this horror movie thing, because you can like make scenes and make your own little movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically just had him go around killing people, and then right at the end he's just sort of up on a roof somewhere smoking, and then just kind of starts having a coughing fit and dies. Because I thought that was hilarious that nothing can kill this guy, he's indestructible, and then he smokes and dies.
I kind of had a similar idea for I had a similar idea for the first draft in my story. It's basically just like the morals in the form of a list of party advice, and the last piece of advice was, if you're going to borrow your sister's pants, please take her largest pair. So yeah.
You missed that joke.
Yep. But I missed a lot of things. Alright, your turn, Grant.
No.
Grant doesn't have a story.
We went over this. I'm just
He's
here.
just here to provide moral support.
Yeah, pretty much. You guys seem to
Alright.
a lot.
I usually drip in these things.
Alright, so now that everybody else's stories are out of the way, it's time for mine. And mine's not so much a story as sort of like a history lesson. I think I'm going to post this on Wikipedia after this.
Brought to you by that rule.
Okay, so my story is called The Monster Olympics. On Halloween night, once every convenient number of years for the purpose of the story, comes the event of the ages, the Monster Olympics. Monsters from all over the world meet at Madison Cemetery Gardens to compete in Monster Olympic events. Instead of being grouped by geographical location, they're grouped by monster type. And no, I'm not talking about the nonsensical types they use for those pocket monster games. Like,
Hey.
how the fuck is fairy a type of monster?
Hey.
Maybe I'm just too old to understand how those games work anymore. I'll just stick with the first couple in the series. Not that fighting type made any more sense, but...
Okay.
Well, they gotta balance it out for the dragon types.
Yeah, but dragons actually make sense. Dragons are a fucking type. Everything else is like, oh, this is orange, it's fire type.
Troy, I thought this wasn't going to be about video games.
It's not.
Yeah. Out of it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Grant. This is about the Monster Olympics.
Right.
The Monster Olympics were started back in ancient Egypt when a group of 3 mummies were resurrected and decided to run a 100-meter race. Due to their slow, shambling nature, this race took 9 hours. Mummies would later be incorporated into the zombie category, much to their shame. I mean, zombies are fucking lame, and by far the worst at the Monster Olympics in every possible event. I don't even know why they bother to show up. I mean, they're so slow and stupid that most of the only medals they've ever won were by Frankenstein's monster due to a technicality. As he was originally like 7 people, a loophole in his contract allowed him to place multiple times on the leaderboards. As such, he won all the medals in the running away from an angry mob contest. Other than that, they've never won anything. Not a gore, a silver bullet, or a brains medal. Part of that is that they have no brains. It's hard to get zombies to follow simple directions. Sometimes they forget that they're even competing and just form a giant zombie sex pile. You thought zombies smelled bad before? You take one whiff of a zombie sex pile and you'll be looking for a skunk to hold up to your face to filter the air. Yeah. Ghosts don't do too well at the Monster Olympics either. Although they're like a zillion times better than stupid, shitty old dumbass zombie losers at pretty well everything. But who isn't, really? The thing about ghosts is that there are so many awesome ones that not everyone gets to compete. The ghost team is currently led by Darth Vader's ghost. And no, I don't mean that little prima donna shit Anakin. It's sort of like how Bruce Banner and the Hulk exist as 2 separate entities. Although I'm not really sure if they're still doing that. I haven't read comics in quite some time.
Unfortunately.
They're not?
No.
They like magically put him back together, or... Okay.
Huh.
But yeah, Darth Vader's ghost is kicking around, and he kicks fucking ass at everything except the events where you have to hold tangible things, like the pop out of the ground and drag your victim down to hell event.
I was just gonna say that. Say what you want about the zombies. At least they can hold things. Like,
Yeah, but they just hold them underneath a sex pile.
I'm done.
yep. Troy wins. Troy wins. I'm done. I'm done.
But I'm
Conceding.
not done yet. I still have like a page.
Feel free.
all right. Keep going.
So, the pop out of the ground and drag your victim down to hell event is always fun to watch because you never really know when it's going to happen. It's like that scene in Jurassic Park where they have the goat chained up, and then they look away for like 2 seconds and look back and it's fucking gone. Only with this there's a lot more flames and screaming and stuff. Devils usually get all the gore medals in this event, and yes, devils are their own category. You may have thought there was only one, but the crazy thing about monsters is that every different representation exists as its own entity. Like Tim Curry's devil from the movie Legend, oh yeah, he's there. Unfortunately for the Devils, the South Park Devil was also on their team. And most of the time, he just jumped onto those zombie sex piles I mentioned earlier. He didn't mind the smell at all. In fact, he distilled it into his own brand of cologne, Sex Zombie. The Monster Olympics, as well as this part of the story, is brought to you in part by Sex Zombie Cologne. 60% of the time, it works every time. This story is also sponsored by the International Correspondence School of Evil, where over 10 million men and women have found jobs working in the criminal underworld without ever having set foot in a classroom. And now, at home, in your spare time, you can get a degree. Choose from any of the following courses: Demon Lord, Mad Scientist, Drug Runner, Black Hat Hacker, Electrocutioner, Illegal Dogfight Coordinator, Firearms Repair, Right-Hand Man, Secret Experimental Lab Assistant, Learning the Personal Computer, or get your specialized associate degree in shady business management or accounting for crime bosses. Call the ICS of Evil and get started on your path to villainy today. Sorry I had to read that, but you have to pay the bills somehow, and the ICS of Evil pays really well. I don't know where they get their money, and to be honest, I don't want to know. What I would like to know is how the Monster Olympics gets enough money to be held every convenient number of years on a consistent basis. Like, they have t-shirt stands and stuff, but who's buying anything? And it's not like you can even find t-shirts for your favorite monsters anyway. I mean, sure, they have the most popular ones like Dracula, Bigfoot, Ghost Dad, and the Flying Spaghetti Monster, but not all monsters get that kind of endorsement. Like, if you wanted to buy a shirt to support Random Zombie number 2437, you can. Although, I don't know why you'd want to support a stupid-ass zombie anyway. That was just an example. With very little room on the page left, let me tell you about the Monster Olympics' greatest champions. And you probably guessed it already. The Skeletons. Except for the flying competitions, they excel at almost every event, and have taken home every medal ever in the Play Your Ribs Like a Xylophone event. Yeah, they're pretty fucking cool. And you remember how I said that thing about contract loopholes and whatnot? You don't even need to be a whole entire skeleton to be on the team. As long as one major body part is skeletonized, it's cool. That means that the skeleton team is led by Skeletor, Ghost Rider, and Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. The zombies were pissed off by this, as without this one detail, all three of them would now be on the zombie team, and this could have led them to winning several medals. Their chances are minimal now, as Frankenstein is retired and his son just sucks. Their only hope these days is Rob Zombie, although instead of focusing on the event at hand, he spends most of his time digging through ditches and burning through witches as he slams in the back of his Dragula. The end.
Joy wins. We got that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Of course he wins. It's his show.
I was kind of worried, to be honest, because, like, you guys all had actual stories, and I was like, I could have random tangents and jokes. But,
Hey, it's called 2 Pages of Stupidity.
yeah, that's my out.
That is your out.
Yeah.
Ours made too much sense.
So, I'm not really sure when, but we're gonna do this at some point again. It might be another holiday, it might just be some random day. I don't know. We'll have to see what sort of interest there is in this, and either way, I'm gonna still write funny stories and random tangents and shit.
We could probably do a Christmas version.
Oh, there's definitely gonna be a Christmas one, so... Grant, start writing your fucking story now.
Yeah, at least I
Yeah,
can
not
time this time. Maybe.
Yes.
And with that, I think we're going to sign off. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm actually probably going to watch this a couple times just so I can let everybody else's stories sink in a little more. But yeah, I hope you like the show. Until next time, because there will be one. Just no idea when it is.
Goodbye, Internet.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.